not address individuals by name. The presiding officer of the board shall have the right to limit the number of persons who may address the board on the same subject. Please state your name and address before beginning to speak. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Is that Ms. Carpenter? I need Ms. Christian.
Good afternoon. My name is A.C. Dumas, and I'm a resident of the city of Flint. And if with respect to this special board meeting regarding the security teach out, again, I recommend that you do not give that company a contract of any sort. And while you said, well, we need somebody to protect the children, well, with that company, it's just like the children are not being protected. The teachers are not being protected. And even when you have guests that come into the building, something should happen. They're not being protected. And as you know, I'm vice president of the, first vice president of the NAACP, and I take things very serious when it comes to minority black participation. And I think you kind of saw what happened today. If you don't, you'll find out later. It's very important that Flint, the school board, get themselves together. And it's just terrible that all the contract, I'm looking at the parking lot out there. I wonder if there's any black participation helping putting the parking lot in. See, those are things I look at. And when you gave this contractor a contract over and 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 over again, nothing was said. I don't know if they're here or not, but I recommend that they don't get it, and you open up bids, request for proposal, and put in the request for proposal what you want to see, and open it up. Thank you.
Okay, I think I saw Ms. Christian.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry I haven't been here in a few meetings. I've been busy with a graduated child from Southwestern and ended my 32nd year of teaching here in Flint and honored a whole bunch of UTF retirees. So we've been doing a whole lot of stuff and been a little bit busy. So I come to you tonight about safety, since it's on the agenda, so we might as well talk about safety, right? So I have a couple of questions, and I know you're not going to answer me right away. I get it. But I'm assuming that this contract is only for 6 months, meaning that we'll be doing an RFP to make sure that we have other companies that are bidding into taking care of our students and our staff in our community. I know we have to at least start with someone. Better we start with something than nothing, since the RFP process takes a little bit of time. Secondly, let's talk about ALICE training. There's a disconnect between ALICE training and our district and the Flint Police Department. So I want to explain. So in ALICE training, which we're required to certify with every single year, we are required to go through a training making sure that we understand exactly what ALICE stands for, exactly what should be happening when a lockdown is called. The problem that we're having is when lockdowns are being called is people are not being given the information. One of the things in ALICE, the I, is information. When you're in a lockdown, you should be given as much information as possible so that I can know in my building. Do I have an intruder in the building? Is it just a lockdown because we have a medical issue? Is there a lockdown because we have an angry parent in the building? We should be given information. And I think there's a disconnect because ALICE training for us and with the Flint Police Department is two different things, because one of the ALICE trainings that we've had is, like I said, information. The Southwestern lockdown that occurred, there was no information that was given out. The DTM lockdown that happened, there was no information given out. When you have teachers in a class trying to keep students calm for over an hour, over 2 hours, over 3 hours, you have to give information. I understand that when the Flint police come in and take over, they have taken over. We get it. But somebody in leadership can put out to the teachers, hey, the Flint police have taken over. We have a serious situation going on. So at least we can say that to our students. Hey, this is like legit. Relax. We're going to all be calm and everything will be good. But it's just like if there was an intruder in the building, you're supposed to tell us, there's an intruder in the building, there's a gun in the building. Where am I going? Am I gonna be able to get my kids out of the building, or do I hover down in the building? Because in Alice training, there's all these different things that we have to go through. Do we stay? Do we run? Do we do something else? So it's really, really important that we as a district get with the Flint Police Department and figure out exactly what part of Alice training we're following so that we're all together on the same page. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Christian. Is there anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Jason Baldwin with Red Line Security Guard Investigations, 4580 Flushing Road. Before we get started, happy birthday, Dr. McNeil and Sister Rutherford. Real quickly, I understand that you have to move with a security situation at this time because you're at the deadline of the contract and you must have something in place. So I do agree with you. I understand the urgency of it. And most importantly, above our decisions or our likes or dislikes is the safety and security of the children in place and the staff and faculty. But let me offer you something that Redline can do for you. Redline will first implement a risk assessment, which is the first step towards developing a comprehensive security plan. Our risk assessment exercise involves defining the critical vulnerabilities of assets, which are the student, staff, faculty, vendors, contractors, and administrators, and then determining the probability of loss. Some of these assets, such as the people, proprietary information, and electronic equipment and more critical assets deserve a more thorough review of their individual vulnerability. Determining these critical vulnerabilities is straightforward. Best practice involves experienced review of trends, such as trend analysis, which requires collecting data from the 13 schools that are you have in your system. Review of security instances. I understand you have not been receiving reports. So reporting is critical to go back in time, look at the data as the incidents that have taken place. And this will give you the insights of trouble areas. Incident reports will offer a critical piece of information. In fact, without incident reporting, you cannot identify what is an incident, what are patterns, and what has formed into a climate. Without these incident reports, you have no roadmap to what has occurred and how to mitigate those risks. Now, I'm not going to go into every detail of what we can offer you because this is not the time for the RFP. But what I will say is that we, myself, my wife, my brothers, we are all Flint residents. We spend time in the streets for no pay. We spend time going door to door talking to our people regardless of credibility, regardless of the light being shined, because we have a care for the city of Flint. And so that's what you need in the schools, because the schools are part of the community. And we are charged with the responsibility of making our community a safe and decent place to live. And if you don't have that kind of commitment to the city, you don't deserve to be in the schools securing our babies. I thank you for your time and attention. Have a good night.
Excuse me, brother, 1 second. Do you have any information that you could give us?
I most certainly can. Yes,
okay,
sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'll leave it with your recorder.
Thank you. All right, I will now call upon Superintendent Jones to present action items to the board.
You got some more?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Thank you, everyone. Okay, I'll now call on Superintendent Jones to present action items to the board.
Okay. Mr. Jones, if you can come over, just in case we have any discussion. Seek a motion and a second from the board to approve Resolution 21.25, authorization to extend Safety Advocate Services August 2023 to February 2024. Not yet.
In a second.
What we need? I saw the motion.
Oh,
Right, we're
So I
seeking
need
a
a-
motion and support.
I'm in a daze, I'm sorry.
I saw the motion, so
Oh, so you need a motion for what?
to approve it.
Oh, I would like to make a motion that we approve the teach-out contract for a period of, what, 6 months? That's the motion that I made.
All right, it has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Trustee McIntyre?
So first, I have some questions about the actual contract. So this is the one that we're approving from August 1st to February 29th, 2024. It says funds are made available from the general fund. But in your email, you said that there was funding was available from now till August 1st for summer from a grant. Is that that's the grant part that you were talking about?
Yeah, so the summer school funding is funded through Title I funds, and everything that encompasses summer school is under that fund.
But that's up until August 1st? So
Yes.
that would be the, okay. And then on page 4, it says, any amount that's not payable after 30 days will be, after 40 days, a service charge of 1.5% per month, 18% annually, will be computed on unpaid balances. That's an exorbitant amount for a service charge. And so I don't, that's usury. It used to be illegal for it to be that high, and now, of course, with deregulation, but it's still offensive to see an 18% APR rate on a contract. So I have an issue with that. That was really the best they could do. So here we are, again, renewing a contract. And now, obviously, I'm nitpicking, but that's, I don't agree to that. And on page 5, so this is the teach out contract that they agreed, that they sent to us from teach out. Okay, so on page 5, there's a couple of typing errors. Where is the 3 point, like for example, they didn't even take the time to do this correctly. On 3.2, it says contractor accountability. Accountability is spelled wrong. Responsibilities are spelled wrong.
Identification.
Yep, indemnification. There's different fonts all over the place here. I'm not comfortable with this. I mean, the pagination, I mean, I know it's nitpicking, but my God, this is for an $800-something thousand a year contract, and they can't even bother to spell check their document. I agree with some of the comments from the community. I said this in the last board meeting, that I understand the importance of student safety and security, but I don't believe that Teach Out keeps our students safe and secure, even when they're there. Now, yes, we're covered by insurance and blah, 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 but that doesn't ease my mind at all. And so this is supposed to dot the I's, cross the T's, make sure that we're covered. I wondered about, I asked maybe for a month-to-month contract. I understand that we need to be covered, but this is worse than nothing. So I'm going to be voting no, because this is just so insulting. Yeah, we need security, but okay, so here's my stance. I'm going to be voting no just because of the principle, because of the percentage rate, the typos, that it's going for 6 months, it's not a month-to-month contract. I mean, they could have even taken it upon themselves to show up and say, hey, I'm sorry, plead their case, we're going to do better. Wow, we really took your comments to heart. We really messed up For the past 2 years that I've voted on teach out, I've voted no, I believe. And I've stressed strenuous objections to them, and I've begged the board, albeit not this board, to, for the love of God, please get an RFP and get a different security the next time the contract comes around. This is on us. So I'm going to be voting once again no on teach out.
Secretary Perkins.
I really agree with Laura. All the things that we discussed in the last meeting, I was just disenchanted with teach out, period. And I remember the gentleman that came up, Mr. Jason, before, and I think he handed us a administrative list of all of the things that they offer. Is there a way we can maybe do month to month with teach out, at least to cover the summer months, if they work out, and have an emergency meeting looking at the red line proposal or whatever. And, okay. Well, summer is covered then, so, and can we look at the red line and look at all that they have to offer, and if they can cover the 13 schools, and then come up, with a plan? That's where I'm at. I'm with Laura, though. I'm not happy with teach out.
Vice President McNeil.
There is no secret that we're not satisfied with the teach out. However, the board, when we was here, we requested that at least a 6-month contract, and with the cost to that 6-month contract. We're in the middle of summer school, I think you say, and we have to have security. This board and the previous board had plenty of time. It's one thing to say no, but you got to replace it with something. And no one has been able to replace teach out with something. We were discussing this and said that we got to keep, we would work with teach out until we put together a policy, what it is, what we like for security to look like. And we as a board has that responsibility to do that. What do we want security to look like? We just can't come in here and say no and walk away. It's easy when you don't have your children there. It's easy when you don't have that concern. But we have to have something in place in the midst of all the other things that this board has to do. Mr. Clark, to Mr. Jones, what is the cost of this 6-month contract?
I've calculated the cost of the 6-month contract at $426,960. That's based on the information I have. It's basically 1,000 hours per week. And I calculated the annual amount. That would be 36 weeks over a 180-day student school year, which is 36,000 hours in total. So for 1 year, it would be $853,920. For 6 months, I just cut that number in half.
Okay. The next question I have, we talking about these typos, and I see them, the typos in which is something that can be corrected. In my opinion, I would not sit here and not have a plan, a good plan B for this district and these teachers, and we would have 6 months as a board to put this plan together, working with the superintendent and the community, what this security should look like. Despite what I don't like, but my oath was to this district, the greatest outcome of the children. I would not have kids going into the school building without security. So I'm supporting this for that reason and that reason alone. I am supporting this as a board. We have due diligence. We just can't come in and say no. And 2 or 3 years ago, we had an opportunity to fix this. We just keep saying no, but what is the, give us something to work with. So I'm going to agree with this, and I accepted what, I spoke with one of my trustee board members. They've been doing some research, looking at different safety issues, and I would like to begin to work on it. This is a policy that we as a board have to put together, and it would be unfair for this district and these parents. We can go home and go to sleep because we don't have babies in there. Maybe one or two people might have grandkids. So that's where I stand on that. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Okay, trustee Rutherford, I'm sorry.
Happy birthday, Joyce.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Jones, my question is, did you get any response back from law enforcement in the area? Yes.
I got response back from, spoke to the mayor, and the mayor is looking into how much it would cost to have a officer in every school, but not able to do an officer on 26. So I did get that from the mayor of the city.
About the state?
I wasn't able to speak to anyone at the state level and the sheriff's office, but we still will reach out.
Okay. This contract is still in place until August 1st, correct?
No.
No?
The
What's for
current
the summer?
contract ends June 30th,
Okay.
but there is, we're covered under summer school title for the summer, and then we'll enter into a school year agreement August 1st.
So who's having the, who's doing security for the summer school to teach out?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I guess my concern is, one, the lack of, one not being here shows, it speaks volumes. They could really care less. And to receive the amount of money that we're paying not to receive any type of services, we would have to take ownership of not being prepared for something like this. Because we as a district, we should always have a plan B and have approved RFPs in the process so that they could just step in. I guess for me, going all the way to February, that's too long. I think that we can do an RFP within 90 days and have this done, but I guess I would just like for them to come before us and explain this. That's all.
Trustee King?
CFO Jones, is there any difference besides the length of contract between Teach Out and us? From the first year, so from the 1 year, I'm sorry, from the 1 year contract to the 6 month contract, is there any differences?
Yes, for the contract that's currently in place, and the old contract, the rates are slightly higher.
Can you see how much?
Well, the 2 years for successful service, for example, is $24.44 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
whereas in the new proposal, that rate is $23.72 an hour. It's not a big difference, but it is a little bit less than the prior year.
Okay. Trustee McIntyre made a good point with pointing out the grammatical errors. However, I think about it, our main responsibility is to put scholars first. And scholars going without security is not putting scholars first. That's not putting staff first and the safety of our scholars first. I also can agree with Vice President McNeil in the being prepared. Like I said at the last meeting, the 1 year contract will give us time to actually do the work that's necessary to prepare for the next school year, to have us all ready. Because my fear is, come February 2024, that's a switch, that's a major transition of security companies in the school year, in the middle of a school year. Think about it. I mean, I would challenge the board. I mean, you go inside the schools, you be there with them 6 months, and you see how that transition gonna look like. That transition will probably be tough. when you can transition the following school year. And that allowed this board to create enough time to go over what security looks like, because we all have good questions, we all want to be diving deep into certain things, so it's going to take us some time on top of what we already have. We have a lot of things to work through. 6 months, I really don't agree with it, right? But I want to do the 1 year, because I don't like changing. That's a major transition that you're gonna have to shift into. I don't know if anybody ever, let's say you're in the middle of a class and you change teachers, teacher go on vacation, teacher, is sick out. The scholars suffer because you losing that stable teacher at that moment, versus starting with a whole new teacher the next year. That's my mindset, you guys. The 6 months, it's really going to cause a lot of issues that we won't be inside of. It's easy to, guys, it's easy for us to sit up here and make decisions, right? But the actual people that's dealing with this is our staff. What load are we putting on our staff when we switch it? That's like making a whole curriculum change right in the middle of the school year. That's not good business in my mind. Through you to Mr. Chair, I really want the 1 year contract. I have to. I'm gonna push for it. If the board says no, the board says no. But I want to be clear. This would allow us to do the ample amount of time to do our due diligence with what security look like in our buildings, and also as we prepare for the next school year. That gives us time. We talk about not being prepared, short-sighted decisions, not doing our due diligence. That's my thing, Mr. Chair, and to the community. This would give us ample amount of time to do that. That's it.
Okay. I would like to start off by saying I agree with both Vice President McNeil and Trustee King. I believe it would be incredibly irresponsible for us to not have security for our scholars in summer school or in the regular school. I mean, we all here are unimpressed by Teach Out in their professionalism or lack thereof or whatever. But we still have a responsibility for the safety of the students and the students and the staff that's in the district. I don't think that it would be good practice for us to not have to vote down Teach Out all the way before either the 6 months or I think we at least need to be the 6 months. I think what sticks out to me the most is that the February date. I think it would be a little bit smoother if they were to come, if the 6 months would be over, maybe after Christmas break, where the transmission would be a little bit smoother, but that's not within the time frame. I also think that it'd be fairly irresponsible for us to ask the already overworked and underpaid police department, to put more on their responsibilities because we don't want to do the work. I think that we should approve this for the 6 months and we should move on with the RFP process. That's just me. I think Vice, did you have a hand up?
No, I was gonna say
Okay.
something.
No.
Okay, Treasurer.
Okay, yeah, I share your frustration to my colleague, Trustee McIntyre. I mean, if you're gonna come ask for this money and you can't spell check your contract, that's an issue. But where I agree with my other colleague, Vice President McNeil, is I think we have to do the responsible thing, in my opinion. It's a tough decision because I'm not pleased with this company. I think they have some great employees, but I just think it's the more responsible thing to do. So I'll be supporting this 6-month extension.
Secretary Perkins.
Mr. Bryant, I'm Jones, I'm sorry. Do we have a time for RFP to be done at the end of the summer, before the end of the summer?
Oh, that would be kind of pressing it to do one now and then have it in place by the
What
start.
about in 6 months?
6 months is doable.
6 months is doable. That could be a plan B. I could go for 6 months, but in the meantime, we can be looking at other avenues, and that would be a plan B in my mind. But I could support 6 months.
Point of information. That's Plan A. I mean, point of order, that
I
would be
don't
Plan
mind,
A.
I don't
Right.
mind, I
It'd be-
don't mind supporting, I just want to make it clear.
Right, right,
The 6 months.
right.
As long as it's time for a RFP to be done, so we can look at other security companies. You know what I'm saying?
But point of information, this that's what we're doing now, right?
It's 6 months.
The 6 months, and while we're within that 6-month time frame, we're gonna throw out the RFP, is that what we're doing? Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
That's where we're at?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Trustee Rutherford?
My question is, can we make some amendments and require some things far as doing rounds and reporting out rounds at schools on a daily basis? For example, you start work at 7, did you walk around the perimeters, everything was clear? One of the main things that was missing for me was there were no reports at all, which that teach out was involved in. So my question is, what are they doing? That's the question, because the teachers are the ones who are concerned about their safety. That's what's being echoed is the teachers. So I don't think anyone up here is saying to remove security
No.
in the school district at all. I want to make that clear. But I think what we do need is a proper service provided as it relates to the safety of our district. And we're not getting that right now. And with the presentation of this, we're not going to get it. As a person in security, you pay attention to detail, period. And this right here is speaking volumes. They could care less because this tells me you need me. And I know you need me, so I'm going to jack up the price, and I'm going to do less for more, and I'm going to make you pay for it, because they're not here to dispute what I said. They're proving their point because they don't care.
I would also, I'm sorry, go ahead, Vice President.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, we know that in the past, we have not even had a clear discussion and clear pathway is how security should work. Even if we approve this or not, approve this 6 month, each principal at that school should be able to have some records. They walking around anyway. The security need to have something in their hand or
I think we can provide, I'm sorry, I think we can provide a daily schedule.
Yeah.
It seems like that's what, I
Yeah.
think we can provide a daily schedule. I would talk to the principals and add them into that conversation.
because I think this would be great, because there was several, when I was a teacher, several accidents happened, no writing, nobody had nothing about it. I'm the injured person in this. I'm the one that got that acid chemical in my face. So, and I would like to see, if we decide to do with this, put in some type of protocol until, for what is needed, and we done heard what the people are saying, the community has spoken. If we can do that, and then to present it, give it to the board, so we can look at it as we begin to write policy of what safety looked like for us and what we would like to see. And I remember listening to my trustee, because he's been doing a lot of work with safety, and maybe we can look at putting something together. What does it really look like? What we want our kids? I don't like security uniforms in school. If I want to see a security, I go to Kroger, dollar store. I want our district to change from that, and that's what I'm looking at. So I will go with the 6 months, and let us put together what we want, a healthy security system, not your regular dollar store security company. That's all I can say.
Okay. Anybody else?
I just want to add, as it relates to Trustee King's concerned about the adjustment, can we do an overlap where prior to the end of Teach Out's contract, that the new income and security come in and they work together collaboratively, and then that way it's just, to me, that will help.
Smooth
Point of
transition.
information.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I just had a question about what I didn't,
Oh.
would that be like they shadow teach out, or they kind of?
They work together. I guess they begin prior to the end of teach out so that they could be here with them. You know, instead of just one in on Friday and another pickup on Monday with no backdrop. I mean, that right there, we have to put that in place so that there's no gap in security.
So, to sum that up, whoever wins the bid.
Yeah.
Any more discussion?
Does that make sense to the board? I mean, or is that?
Yeah, everything we're saying is making sense with.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure.
If I understood it right, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee King?
Just quickly, you know, if this approved tonight, I would urge my colleagues, whether we create, you know, an ad hoc committee or a committee surrounded around security, let's get that done, because you got 6 months, time ticking. I mean, our record, last minute stuff, we can't do nothing last minute. So whether it start next month in July, you know, planning that, but we have, like I said, a boatload of stuff to do. But hearing the conversation, security, as I've been through Alice training as a student, and that is something. I only can imagine as a staff member what that looks like. So I'm all for joining that committee or whatever, whoever have to work it on the board to discuss what would security look like in our district.
Question?
I have a question.
Okay, can we get Mr. Stewart to be in on that too? Shouldn't he be in on anything that's security based? Okay,
Absolutely.
okay. Dylan was next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got you, Vice President.
Yeah, I just want to commend you two gentlemen for getting this to us quickly in, 4 or 5 days. I know it wasn't easy, and we have a few vacancies in the administration, so I know that you've been working hard on this, so thank you.
Vice President McNeil?
I just want to say, it is best that we put it on the governors, because we meet as a board as a whole. Our board will have input. You want some input from your principals and your teachers, so it would be better not to try to have an ad hoc committee, because information get twisted. You get to hear everybody, you get to vote on it, make a decision, kind of like we do Neola. We put stuff together, and we'll be meeting with Neola Wednesday, and he can also probably help us navigate through this, because we don't have that policy in place as a board.
I do have a question. This is just to answer for my ignorance. How much promotion can we do as a board when the RFP process starts? I mean,
Yeah, good question.
are we allowed to just rely, I mean, do we rely just on the posting that goes on the website, or are we allowed to Facebook, or how does it?
You can go into,
You can talk, you can tell
You-
people
you
about
can-
it, the more the
once it's
merrier.
approved, yeah.
You can say, hey, there's an RFP
You
out.
can go on your,
We're gonna put it on
you
social
can go
media
anywhere
because
in the community. Once we approve anything, you can speak on it in the community.
I just wanted to be sure.
And we just want to make sure we got the dates and stuff, so that we have people in the audience, and we got a radio listener out there. We can let Mr. Dumas know he's
Yeah.
good at getting information out to the community. And so it's all kind of resource. Once we get it done, we'll start working on it. But this is something we're gonna have to hit the ground with ASAP. So that meant 2 or 3 meetings a week at the most.
Yep.
Okay, any more discussion?
Yeah, quick question, so sorry, I'm
Trustee
trying
King.
not to belabor the moment. Mr. Jones, could you create a process with the principals and staff, like a little team that you have, and you can report back to, like say when we have that governance meeting to do security? Is that a process you can make?
So yes, so the principals are on vacation.
Okay.
So we won't see principals fully again until the end of July.
Mhm.
That's when we have our retreat, and this conversation will come up in the retreat. We won't be able to spend a lot on it, but we will from that moment try to put together a team, and then I'll come back to the board with that information. So don't look
Okay.
for it in July is what I'm saying.
Right,
Yeah.
So
But
you
it'll
probably-
come in
Yeah.
August, and then we'll go from there.
I want to make sure it's like a collaborative approach between,
Yeah, sure.
building leaders and staff with you and the board, so we can, move that going.
And I would also suggest that if the board, when we open the seals for the RFPs, if we have a couple of board members present, that would be helpful.
Always.
Because we know this has been a touchy subject for some. And I want to make sure that, and I'm not talking about teach out per se, but just RFPs. I want to make sure that you all are involved in that process so we can move it forward.
And before, Mr. Jones, we used Zoom as well, or YouTube and Zoom.
We zoomed in those that were on the committee that could not be there.
Oh, okay.
But if the public wanted to come, they had to show up at the admin building if they wanted to see the process.
So we couldn't put it on YouTube? I think a state law requires, prohibit that, I believe.
Yeah, we don't normally,
Okay.
we don't normally put it on GoWebinar.
But they were during the pandemic anyway. Okay, all right.
Can I just have one more comment, Mr. President?
Treasurer Luna?
I think in the future, it could be helpful for your team as well, and this may take some time to create if it's useful. But if you had like a spreadsheet that has most of the major contracts that we, approve every year or 2 years, whenever that comes up, that'll help us know when they come up. And I think as you push them forward, I think it'll be easier for us to, approve them as we move forward.
So I think
Do we have that?
provided, we provided all of the contracts. It's on a Word document, but it's in yellow. You'll see a lot of yellow on it.
Okay.
I will resend it.
Yeah, and maybe I missed it, so my apologies if I did.
No problem.
Any more discussion, Secretary Perkins? Is there any more discussion? Anyone else? Okay, seeing no further discussion, the motion to approve Resolution 21.25, the authorization to extend safety advocate services from August 2023 to February 2024 will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I say your name, please say yes or no to approve the motion. Treasurer Luna?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Come back to me.
Okay. Trustee King?
Please.
Yes.
Vice President McNeil?
Yes.
Assistant Secretary Treasurer McIntyre?
No.
Secretary Perkins?
This is for the 6 month.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, 6 months. That-
Okay. Trustee Rutherford?
Is this with the rounding included?
The who?
The rounding, where they give a report? What Mr. Jones was talking about? Just ask, is that gonna be included in
Can we
that?
do that if
The
we're in the middle of a
request?
vote?
I just asked, Max and Nat,
Your rounding
not
is
in-
the overlap.
right,
That's not in the contract.
no, just, no, that's not what I'm saying. But yes,
That's your vote? Or?
my vote is yes,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Myself, President Clacker, also vote yes. So the vote passes by a vote of 6-1. Okay. Seeing no further business of the board, I declare this special board meeting adjourned at 6:13 p.m.